I'm Michael Keating. I am one of the trustees of Spitalfields Music, and I've been involved, pleased and delighted to have been involved with the organisation since the late 1990s. And my theme is 10 million Londoners, a changing landscape. And strangely, some of the things I was going to say, Matthew's kind of touched on. And one of the things that just struck me was that point you just made about surrendering control, which of course has been pretty much a political issue that we've been grappling with over the last few months. Should we surrender control? Do we need to have control back? So I want to come back to that in a moment, but I suppose one of the things about Spitalfields Music is, of course, where it is, Spitalfields. Spitalfields, as most of you may already know, the whole history of the place is a place where people arrive, sit outside the City of London, and some way either get into the city or get into the system, move out to different places. So if we were thinking about that history of Spitalfields, and a changing landscape for London, surely it is the place that's going to be able to grapple with that. And indeed, Spitalfields Music and our kind of vision, our values, the way that we do our work should enable us to grapple and manage that changing landscape. But of course, a couple of weeks ago something happened that I think has perhaps thrown up a different sort of changing landscape, which the country is working out what to do about it. And I think one of the things that's really important about the referendum debate, for London, it was the highest turnout for any election since 1950, a sort of fundamental issue that people thinking, what does it mean? What does this issue about surrendering control? I suppose the other point that struck me about what Matthew was saying about a sense of self. So, what is it about London? You know, you go to Spitalfields now, you think, what a cool place this is, you know, we're dealing with life, we're laid back, we're diverse, you know, this is the place to be. And why wouldn't it? I'm thinking about some stats. London generates 23% of total UK economic output. It generates 30% of all the economy taxes in the UK, and that's more than the 37 next biggest cities in the country. So Brexit is, well, it's a big issue for us all, I know, but it's a big issue for London. And the London Mayor is arguing very strongly that London should have a place at the table in negotiating what Brexit should mean because of the significant economic power of the city. And indeed, he's asking in his position for additional responsibilities for a whole range of things around spending property taxes, more powers around housing, planning, transport, etc. Now, if we thought about that election for Sadiq Khan a few months back, the first Muslim mayor of any Western city, a kind of moment of reasserting what I suppose what I'd like, I'm not going to attempt to talk for all of you, a kind of open city that's willing to think about what the modern world looks like. And articulating a very strong message about working across different faith communities, different sections of the population, about asserting London is no place for hate. But I guess the Brexit vote throws up some things that I think that we need to think about, which isn't simply taking for granted this view of London as being the cool, laid-back place that can deal with the modern world. Because although London voted overwhelmingly to remain in Europe, still 40% of people who voted to leave, and that is 1.5 million people living in the capital. So what does that mean? Do those Londoners not feel part of the cool, happening sort of environment. And I suppose one of the things that's really important to remember, whilst we have those stats about the strength of the London economy and what it does, 2.25 million people in London, according to a recent report, live in poverty. And that's more than the populations of Manchester, Liverpool, Sheffield, Leeds combined. That's a lot of people. And when we're talking about in poverty, we're not talking about people who aren't employed necessarily, because the measurement of in poverty at the moment includes households where someone has a job, and 1/3 of those households contain children. So I guess the thing about London, which I guess again has been true all the time, is it is a place of have-nots, but we need to absolutely remember that that is the case. So Spitalfields Music is located in Tower Hamlets, a place that did vote overwhelmingly to remain. But for instance, we have been doing a lot of work in Barking and Dagenham recently, and the stats around the Remain Leave thing is almost the other way round. Residents of Barking and Dagenham voted overwhelmingly to leave the European Union. And I was listening to something on the radio the other night which was interviewing people in Blackpool about the referendum, and they were, again, overwhelmingly people who voted to leave. And one of them said that they'd made that decision because it would be one in the eye for Londoners, that actually we can't take for granted the things that we think are cool, happening, funky about London. So I think that's something that we need to grapple with, and indeed I think we try and do in Spitalfields Music. And one of the ways that one has always got to be optimistic about that, we were talking about this earlier this evening actually, on Monday night it was the 10th anniversary of the Tower Hamlets Arts and Music service, where 1,000 local kids took over the Barbican and performed a myriad of different pieces of music, fantastically inspiring. But again, can we take it absolutely for granted that all those kids and their families are completely bought into the idea of music is something that's fantastic? Maybe we need to investigate that more. Hopefully open callers can be one way of doing it.